Good morning. If you're watching this video at a later time, a later now moment, I'm just giving a few moments to let people trickle in. But now I kind of feel guided to talk. Ooh, I got some little fiddleheads growing down here. Okay. So, this morning I woke up with this really prominent vision in my head. And it deals with PTSD. And it was really interesting. As someone who is diagnosed with PTSD, I've been learning a lot about myself through this fracturing, if you will. And this morning I woke up and I had this visual of those with PTSD walking on eggshells okay. Those with PTSD feel like they have to walk on eggshells so they don't trigger someone else to feel some type of way, and then those around those who have PTSD then feel like they have to walk on eggshells around that individual who has PTSD. So then it creates this perpetuating cycle where those who are diagnosed with PTSD, and again, this is coming from my own personal experience, right? The vision that I had this morning was someone with PTSD who isn't sovereign or free within themselves, externalizing their internal problems, like creating a situation where they feel like they have to walk on eggshells, which then creates a situation where those who may be unconscious to that level of frequency or unconscious to what is going on, then in turn feels like they must walk on eggshells around that individual who has a lot of trauma or is diagnosed with PTSD. And something that arose early in my journey was like, I don't want anyone to have to feel like they're walking on eggshells around me, right? So in my healing journey, I've worked through that, worked through being sovereign and free within myself, right? So then I was sitting with that. I was like, so if trauma creates a perpetuating cycle where you then create more traumatic situations for yourself to experience until you recognize that you're a creator of your own experience, and you can then thus start creating new situations that aren't traumatic, right? You can learn from those new situations. But first you have to recognize your own cycle. And I think that's one of the biggest keys when it comes to like healing yourself and healing your trauma is recognizing your own cycle. You know, what are the frequencies that you're releasing? Because the frequencies that you're releasing, you know, whatever you're projecting into your reality, that's what you get in return, is projecting those frequencies into your own reality. So you receive that same frequency that you're putting out. It's the basics of law of attraction. And then I had another visual. You know, it's like this full moon quite literally has a lot of people feeling very scattered. And the reason I say that is I don't mean this in any type of way, but think about cockroaches when the light's turned on. They scatter, right? They don't want to be seen. I've had a few moments recently where like you feel like you've been seen, or you feel like someone's looking at you, but you don't know who it is. And so your first thought may be, especially if you are navigating like any type of trauma or anything like that, paranoia tends to be the first thing. Like, you feel like you're being watched. You feel like someone's looking at you. What if that individual or that entity or that energy that's looking at you is just yourself? What if it's just your light being shown, whichever that is correct English there. But what if it's your own light being reflected onto you? You are reflecting your own light onto you. So now all of the things that you were doing unconsciously can no longer be done unconsciously, because now you see what you were doing. And you either choose to make that choice to change. You either choose to make that change in your life, right? Or you choose to turn a blind eye. And this is really what awakening or ascension is that, do I want to continue to perpetuate the cycle that I am currently in? And that's what this full moon is about. Karma. And clearing it, both negative and positive. You know, karma is karma. Karma doesn't have karma has polarity. So karma is literally law of attraction. What you put out is what you get back. That's karma. So what are you putting out into the world? Are you putting genuine love, excitement, joy into the world? Or are you putting a facade into the world? That's what a lot of people mean when they, like, you see the memes of, like, the person unzipping their human and the alien comes out. Is because we're not this human body. We are the energy within it. And that energy within it has multiple facets to it. Think about this. All humans on Earth derive from some sort of alien DNA. It's fact. If you don't think it's fact, do some research. Do a lot of research. It's out there right now. You can't turn a blind eye to the truth. And I think that that's the biggest thing that is happening right now, is a lot of people are still trying to turn a blind eye to the truth, and they can't turn a blind eye to the truth because the truth doesn't go anywhere. It always exists. It's whether you see it or not, but it still sits there. The writing on the wall doesn't go anywhere. It remains. So just with that understanding, like, why would you not want to let go of the things that no longer serve you? And it's different for every person. Like, I'm not talking about substance abuse as always being what you have to let go of. Maybe it's your perception of the drug that you're using. And I don't even like to use the word drug, medicine, because it's really all medicine. We're all using it to medicate ourselves in some way, to heal ourselves in some way, even if healing is perceived as running. Just understand that that is all part of the healing process. There's no wrong way to heal. Some people need years and years and years of habitual drug abuse or drug use, substance use, right? To figure out that they don't need that anymore. Every person's journey is different. And I think that that's one of the most beautiful things about healing. It's like we all have experienced some sort of trauma, but how that trauma's display is similar, has similar behaviors, but how it affects each person is different. I think that's one of the most beautiful things. Is like we can all experience the same traumatic situation, but that traumatic situation is going to affect every single one of us differently. You think about corrections officers, or you think about investigations, when think about murders and homicides and stuff like that, right? The detectives, it's something I learned in college, right? Because I for all intensive purposes, I'm like a few credits shy of having associates in criminal justice. So something I learned in this was each person who witnesses a crime sees something different. So it literally takes every single person to put the whole picture together, but investigators only use the perceptions that align with what the proof that they're trying to prove. So think about that. If we're shown in our own justice system that that's how things work, how do you think humans operate when they begin awakening? They try to find things that fit their truth instead of allowing themselves to see things that do not align with their truth and then integrating that information. Is it snowing? Am I seeing snowflakes? I'm seeing white dust, sorry. But I just, I just kind of wanted to sit with that for a minute, like, think about our justice, and I'm specifically speaking on, like, within America, but I'm sure the justice system across the world is kind of fucked, all right? I see what's happening. I see the structure. I see the infiltration. I see the inorganic ones at work. And the truth of the matter is we all have part of that inorganic within us, and we have to accept that, and we can't run from it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're alive right now, I'll be 30 in a couple weeks, all right? So for 30 years, well, I say I started to awaken probably around 25, really awaken. My whole life was an awakening, but like my consciousness, my unconscious, subconscious, becoming conscious started to happen around the age of 23, 24. It wasn't until I was 25 that it really struck me, where I started to recognize that love was the only answer, and love was the way, and love is how you get out of the darkness, because love leads you to the light, but it's not something you see, it's something you know. It's your heart, it's what your heart tells you. Now you understand why listening to your intuition and listening to your heart is so important, and also why our emotions are so construed, and why they're being so divisive with us, why they're trying to divide us so much. Is if we as a collective are divided, we then don't see the whole picture, because we're not talking to one another to build the full picture. Like, think about it. If the love and light crew, right, the love and light crew that really doesn't ever want to look at dark, they don't want to touch the darkness, they just want to stay away from it, they don't like it, it feels icky, it feels ooey, they're like, darkness. If they stay where they're at and they don't talk to the dark masters, the ones who understand the light and the dark, and they understand the balance between the both, if they don't ever talk to someone who feels like they're a lower frequency than someone else, will they ever learn? No, they're gonna keep themselves on a pedestal until they get knocked down. And that's spiritual ego. That's what the spiritual community has kind of evolved into. Like, no one wants to get triggered. Well, I'm sorry, sweetie. Triggering is the only way you're gonna learn, right? and I mean that for anyone who ever watches any of my videos, because I've triggered some people recently. Oh, and it's the full moon. I'm not surprised, right? I trigger a lot of people quite often. I don't, there's a reason why people aren't around me. And I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid about it. Like, I know who wants to be around me. I can feel who wants to be around me. They show up. They show up regardless of how I trigger them, because they know it's not my fault that they're triggered. It's them. And unfortunately, I have been around a lot of people. And I guess it's not unfortunate, because it really has made me so much stronger. And I am so grateful for having all of the experiences of being around all of the people who don't like me because I'm too fucking spiritual. Trust me, I have haters. Haters gonna hate. And that's something we have to freaking learn as a collective consciousness. We are not meant to be liked and liked by everyone. We're meant to be loved by all, because you can love someone and not like them. Like, that is fucking plausible. Like, you can love someone and not like them. You can love someone and know that it's best for you not to be around them because of the energy frequency, but that doesn't mean you don't have something to learn from them. And like, so long as we keep ourselves divided and we keep ourselves segregated, we are segregating ourselves through choice of listening to an authority figure who doesn't have our best interests in mind. And as someone who has been raised by a mother and an energy, not just my own mother, but raised by the mother energy of the earth that is transforming as we speak, right? We've all been raised by this dark mother. We all have that energy within us. Mother Earth wouldn't be here if there weren't darkness. And it's just sitting with that and understanding that, like, we all have darkness in us, and we can't run from that. We can't run from the darkness. Running from the darkness spins us in a circle, because we end up chasing our tail. Does that make sense? Now you see how you get trapped in a cycle of time? You know, I'm glad that you bring that up, Misha, because it goes back to what I was talking about earlier with those who are diagnosed with PTSD. They feel like they have to walk on eggshells around themselves so they don't put themselves in a situation that triggers them. And then it makes other people feel like they have to walk on eggshells around them. So the question, there's a skunk somewhere. So the question then becomes, if you feel that it is hard to be around yourself, what is it within that you don't like about yourself? What is it that you're still judging about yourself? Are you judging yourself for, I'm speaking from my own experience here, right? I used to judge myself for my drug use. I used to judge myself for how long I slept, for how much sleep I needed. I used to judge myself for what I ate, when I ate, how much I ate, what I drank, how much I drank, what it was I was drinking. I used to judge myself for spending all my money on drugs, right? I used to... Are you hyperactive? Okay. So is it hyperactivity and self-absorption, or is it you're being asked to add or do something differently within yourself? How do you perceive yourself, right? And Misha, you and I know each other. We've known each other for a little bit. I resonate with a lot of what you're saying right now. Like, I understand what it means to like be hyperactive in the mind and to feel like you're self-absorbed, self-centered. However, think about this. You have 3 children, right? Right? I don't know how old your oldest is, but I do know that our children take a piece of us until we learn to find that piece within us again. So, are you Misha, the whole sovereign person who has been blessed with the opportunity to share an experience with 3 other humans who are evolving? Or do you feel the burden of having to raise the 3 children all on your own? To be the one that's there teaching them every time, to be the mother and the father. Is that a role that you're having to play? Are you having to be both parents even though both parents are there? Or are you navigating your own healing journey and you're just beginning and you turn around and you see that you have 3 children that you now have put your trauma into? That happens sometimes too, but it's part of their journey. They wouldn't have chosen you if they weren't meant to be there. The only thing you can do is love yourself and release the judgment of that. Maybe your hyperactive mind is actually your creative force, and it's just seeking for you to observe it all with non-judgment. And your self-absorption is just you really needing, your soul really needing just a little extra rest, just a little extra love, right? And you don't know that because you're just doing what you know. So, I'm glad you bring that up too. Mood swings, bipolar disorder, right? So a key to that, something that's really helped me with the ups and downs, is understanding that the moon changes every 24 hours. And then think about the moon cycle every 2 weeks. It changes. And bipolar disorder is classified as extreme mood swings lasting anywhere from 2 weeks to several months. So the several months part is, where do you get stuck? What up or what down do you get stuck on? And it's all a process, a slow process of recognizing how, yes, your potential, you see how wide of a range of energy you have the ability to touch. And I think that is beautiful. That's an expression. Someone, you may be familiar with them, but someone who also has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder is Phil Goodlife. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is, for all intents and purposes, he's a mentor of mine. You know, I think we oftentimes feel that we have to know our mentors one-on-one personally, but I think that our mentors have the ability to work with us through astral, and we may never actually have to meet them. So I'll tag him. Okay. So if you're not familiar with him, that's his page. If you just look up Feel Good, he'll pop up. He's an amazing teacher, really, really, really knows how to reflect the inner workings of the mind. Ah, beautiful. Okay, you do know him. All right. And he's been talking about that a lot lately too, in his own way, about using the moon and using the energy to reflect within you the vastness that is. You know, I spoke about it the other day in my meditation, my Saturday Nest meditation. It's linked, it's on here, but also on YouTube if you're interested in watching that. But I talked about the moon and how it shifts phases every 24 hours. So that means every 12 days, we've went through the whole zodiac cycle. Which is wild, because then I guess 13 days, because there's 13 signs. We just don't really talk about the 13th sign. But I think I think that is a way to control and manipulate time. If you take us and you put us in a 12-month cycle as opposed to a 13th month cycle, and then, you know, you cut off a good portion of the energy through not talking about or relating to a whole month of energy, right? But yeah, I feel that all of us really, in some way, is bipolar. It is, yeah, I'm glad to have you here. But really, it's just how aware are you of the energy within yourself and how it fluctuates. I see how do I put this without it's a line you gotta skirt, because, you know, the listening. When you think about, fuck it. If you think about the health industry, right? Think about mental health. Think about dis-ease. I see, could have sworn I just saw something. Anyways, I perceive the labels, the mental health labels, the psychological labels that they give us for these dis-eases that they're calling them, you know, the issues, the mental health issues that we have as humans. I see that as a way to cover up our psychic abilities. Because something I've recognized just looking back in history, you know, going all the way back to Lyra Vega, and how Lyra Vega, they talk about the galactic wars starting in Lyra Vega because Lyra Vega wanted to expand, just as consciousness does. And so some of that consciousness left and started to traverse the external world. And they came upon another planet where there were already other beings. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was reading your message, Joe, because I think it's beautiful. Something that, okay, I'm going to give you a little tip and a little trick of something that's helped me in my journey. And what you just said triggered it. Picture yourself as Mother Earth. And I do this in meditation a lot. My heart is really, I make my Taurus field Mother Earth. So if you're ever wondering how big your auric field can be, your mind is the only limit. So I make my torus field the size of Earth, and then I sit in the center and I observe the moon moving around me, just as you do. More connected to Mother Earth, Mother Nature, quiet, clarity. You can see how the moon moves you from within. Now, I found that a lot of people that I come into contact with in their inner sanctuary, they oftentimes get, I guess what I'm seeing now primarily is, also, before I get there, when you sit in the center of Mother Earth like that, you can also envision the yin and yang, and it allows you to have a panoramic view. But going further, right? What was I gonna say? Hold on. Not sure what I was gonna say, but that's okay. Oh yeah, Lyra Vega. Okay. So this is something else that was coming through. Yeah. So when Lyra Vega began to expand, war began. Because one energy approached another energy, and to them it was foreign. So, hello. Is that Patry dance? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, dancer. Hello. I'm just talking about Lyra Vega, and essentially how I got the download this morning that they're gonna try and start another galactic war. And then I saw that they've been watching our dreams. I don't know how they're doing it, but I know they're doing it. And because a lot of Lemurians and Lyra Vega consciousness is arising, they are beginning to try and push out the frequency of more galactic war. So I feel a lot of people think that we are at war as a country or as a world, right? But in all honesty, most of us are seeking peace and love. And the television is telling lies to our vision to make us believe one thing when something else is actually happening. And they're not just using TV. Think of anywhere that has a screen, that has a camera. They have the ability to project a certain frequency out from these devices, which then distorts our vision of what we are seeing. That's why there are so many of us on here doing the lives the way that we're doing them, and really pumping that frequency back out, because we're using it against itself. Because one of my strongest qualities is mirroring my frequency and not absorbing someone else's frequency. And it's been through cultivation of that space within myself that has shown me the course that they're attempting to take. And then you add on top of that, this has always been planned. We were always meant to awaken to see what is happening as it is right now. It is in our hearts and our power to make the discerned choices that is right for our human soul evolution, and not to allow to be swayed by someone who does not have our highest interest in mind. And so I was watching this movie last night, and it's relatively new on Netflix. I don't usually watch a whole lot of TV, but sometimes I like to watch things with a different perspective. And it was a Drew Barrymore movie. I can't remember. I think it's called The Stand-In. If you have the ability to watch it, watch it. It's really interesting because Drew Barrymore does a similar thing that Jim Carrey did back in the day. If you remember, Jim Carrey played several different roles. A Man on the Moon. He played a man on the moon. There's a documentary about that. I also advise watching that. It is really, really powerful. But the stand-in with Drew Barrymore, you can almost tell it's like her sign-off. Watch it. It'll break your brain a little bit because there's so many fourth wall breaks. But if you know who Drew Barrymore is and understand, like, she's been in Hollywood since day one as a baby, like both her parents were actors, were in the movie business. You watch that movie and you know the depth of who Drew Barrymore is, you're like, whoa. Like, I'm telling you, it slapped me in the face a little bit. I was like, all right. But you're starting to see a lot of conscious media coming out, very hidden. Like, think about this. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, but as far as it goes in America, the CIA has the primary target of what does and doesn't get released as far as the structure goes, the main stage. So to have something released on Netflix like that says a lot. Because if you start looking at Hollywood with this idea of pre-programming the subconscious, unconscious mind with the idea of what we're meant to experience, you start to see what they're doing now. You start to see how they're manipulating us. And that's why nature is so important. Nature is your mirror. Mother Earth is water, which comes from Mother Earth, was the first mirror, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but as far as it goes on like earthly standards, as far what I have put together is water is the first mirror. So why do you think the moon is inorganic and controls the motion of the oceans? And I want to express this as well. Yes, it is scary. I know it is. But you're safe. I can't say that you're safe, okay? That's fucked up with me. But you're safe in the sense of spiritual speaking. Like, spiritually speaking, you're safe. That's what akua means? Yes, 80% truth, 20% false. So it's interesting you bring that up, right? So my partner and I were talking the other day about how, think about all of the information that's been released by the CIA. So they give you some truth, so you think that you can trust and believe them, and then they begin spreading lies. Think of Operation Paperclip, Operation Mockingjay, Operation Agenda 31, Operation Agenda 21, something like that. There's Agenda 21 or Agenda 13, and then like something else 21. I think I'm hitting on something because the wind just picked up extremely intense. But you look at all of these things, right? You start talking about all of that stuff, and you see how riled up Mother Nature gets. She's like, yes, please keep telling them, please, because they need to know the truth. If they don't know the truth, no one knows the truth. If no one knows the truth, we keep perpetuating the same cycle. And I'm really trying to change and transform right here, right now, guys. Let's go. Like, that's the energy I'm getting. She's like, I'm trying to change. So something just keep in the back of your mind. We have a Scorpio full moon. Pluto is retrograde, which is ruled by Scorpio, which is death and rebirth. And then, on top of that, Mars is in Cancer. So you're talking about some emotional turmoil waters just all over the place. That's kind of how I've been feeling lately. It's like I can feel it around me, but it doesn't touch the water within me because the stillness within me can only be touched if I allow them to touch it. And that's the power of being sovereign. And you have that within you. Mind over matter. Think about this. Mind over matter. We are just a bunch of electromagnetic impulses coursing through this body. That's energy. Waveform. Our heart is the material. Our mind is the material. Our body is the material. So all of the paintings and all of those people have that gold aura. That's your higher mind. That's your energy, your shaman chakra. You have that. The 8th gate and your crown chakra. Yes, we're crystals. We are literally crystals. Trees, we're crystals. We're trees. We're water. Like, if it's in nature, it's within us. It's in our DNA. Something I've recognized is the reason humans are considered to be creator beings is because in our DNA holds the understanding and the comprehension of everything that is external to us. So without knowing it, we know why this tree grows. We understand why that tree grows. We don't have to ask the tree a question why it grows. We just know it. Same with the water. We understand the water flows. We don't need to know how it flows or what moves it, but we know it flows. That's spirit. That's within us all. We get the oneness of everything because that energy is within us. Godhead, yes. Thank you for putting that. Thank you. Sometimes I lose words in my mind, but you get the point, and I'm glad you get that. Godhead. We all have a Godhead. All of us. All of us. And I know that there are some people who feel like they're non-player characters in this game of life. But that's where it becomes your choice to play. And then how you show up in the game. I've learned so much from watching people who play video games, especially like the first person like video games, like Fallout and Call of Duty and Sims, all of those games. How you play those games is how you show up in life. And if you don't play video games, it's okay. I'm not a big fan of them myself. I have a really hard time playing them because I understand life is a game, and so then I have a hard time sitting in front of a TV playing video games for hours and hours and hours on end because I get bored and I'm like, this isn't actually serving a purpose. It's a whole thing. All right. The wind is kind of telling me to kick it. I want to hop in on Brendan. If you're not familiar with Paradigm Shift Central, I'll pop this down. So that is, pretty sure that's how it might be. It might not be a Y, it might be an I in Spider-Man. I can't remember. But he's doing Waking Up with Wolf right now on Instagram. He went, or should be going live here in a few minutes. If you're not already linked up or you are interested in guided meditations Monday through Friday, Paradigm Shift Central community does do meditations at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. I think Mondays and Fridays are usually led by Brendan, and then during the week other leading members get to lead the meditation. On Friday it's a global team meditation, so we go to a guardian tree and we connect to our higher selves, to our activated light guardian selves that reside within all of us. So if you're not familiar with that, do that meditation on your own and then join us on Friday. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna drink my tea. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna meditate with the community. I really appreciate you all being here whenever you're watching this at any now moment. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening. It really does touch my heart to see people listening to the truth, and not that my truth is the only truth, right? I'm just speaking the truth from my heart. And to have people who resonate with that and that share that same vision, it really, really does count. And it really does make a difference. Just showing up like this does make a difference. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you all. If you're interested in working one-on-one, I am taking clients. You can book a session in my link in my bio on Instagram. If you're interested in other content, I do have a Patreon if you're interested in subscribing there. Again, the link is in my description. And I do have a YouTube channel if you're interested in checking out other content. I do weekly meditations there. I do weekly tarot pulls on Thursdays. And then I'm actually about to open the door up to holding flowetry workshops as well, something I've been inspired to do within the last few weeks. So there's some stuff coming forward. Hope to see you all there, wishing to see you all there. And thank you again for joining me in this space. Until the next now. Infinite love, infinite light, infinite balance, and infinite movement, my friends. Namaste.